For hanging out with us on this Friday. We are Sports Take. Let's hit the like button if we could, friends. That's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis hanging out with you. Joining us now, he has covered the Birds and covered the NFL for more than 40 years, does an awesome job. You can check him out at the 33rd Team FB. He's also the host of the Birds Report podcast and co-host Monday Night Kickoff. WBCB Sports does a great job with everything NFL and Eagles related, even though he is semi-retired. That would be the one and only Paul Domowitch. Domo, how you doing?
Domo,
how you guys doing?
I know you're playing a little hurt, Domo. I know. You're a gamer, man.
Getting over a sinus infection, but I'm here in full. I'm ready. I can play.
All right, Domo. So I love your perspective on things. You covered the league for a long time, and I know we're only 6 games in. I get it, but what we're seeing from Miami's offense is pretty amazing thus far. What do you make of it? Where do you? I mean, can you put this in any kind of historical perspective for us?
Well, I mean, I guess you can go back to to the Dick Vermeil Rams that won the Super Bowl in '99, the greatest show on turf. This supposedly is the greatest show on surf. Probably even have more speed, although it's mostly the Tyreek Hill show. I mean, the numbers they're putting up are amazing. I mean, two is practically either 1 or 2 in every passing category. I mean, averaging like 9.5 yards an attempt. Tyreek, I think, is averaging something like 19 yards a catch. Yeah, it's amazing. They're going to be tough to stop Sunday.
Domo, I wanted to get your evaluation of what you've seen from Brian Johnson as an OC through the first 6 games. I had said to Rob yesterday, the game prior to the Jets, just when we thought he had turned the corner, now we're back after the Jets game with a lot of question marks about his strategy. Your perspective?
Yeah, I was really, I mean, and I still am high on Brian. I mean, I thought when I promoted him, it was the right call. Still think that. I thought he'd be a one and done guy because I thought this offense was going to just explode again this season, and he'd be the first or second in line for a head coaching vacancy. Might still happen. I also thought, I mean, his relationship is so unique with Jalen. I mean, they've known each other since Jalen was 4 years old. Yeah. He was Jalen's quarterback's coach for 2 years when Jalen made the move from a quarterback nobody was sure about to a guy who was the runner-up for the MVP last year. So I thought this was going to be a seamless transition. But I understand that, going from being the quarterback's coach, which is kind of like being your dorm room buddy or mentor, to being the play caller is a little different. I mean, it takes some time to get in sync with each other. And I think that's kind of one of the things that's happening right now. But I still, and he's tweaked this offense a little bit. He wants to use his running backs more as receivers. I'm not sure Jalen felt that strongly about doing that before, and I think he's learning to adapt a little bit. But I think it'll eventually work. I mean, it's not like this offense isn't scoring points, isn't moving the ball, but they're struggling in some places, most notably the red zone.
Well, yeah, that's where I was going to go with you, Domo. Good setup. Is it just kind of what you just said? Is it the same application here? It's just a matter of getting it all together, but it's been dramatically worse in the red zone. I mean, they were a very good red zone team in terms of cashing, and the team they're playing this week is the best in football. They're delivering at 80% is Miami. How do you, what would you like to see? The other thing real quick, Domo, not to be all over the place with this, but we're seeing overall a lack of fades in the NFL. Just in general in the red zone, not as many teams throw a fade anymore. I don't quite get that. But anyway, what would you like to see the Eagles do differently in the red zone?
Well, I think one of the things that happened during the offseason, Rob, is obviously defensive coordinators that were going to play this team this year studied a lot of tape. They knew they had to find some way to slow this offense down. I mean, we saw that from Bill Belichick early on to Brian Flores in week 2 with the Vikings. Everybody has a plan. They changed up coverages a little bit. But with the red zone specifically, last year, the Eagles finished 3rd in red zone production, and they did it mostly on the ground. Mm-hmm. I mean, their run play percentage was the highest in the league in the red zone. I mean, they just basically, whether it was Jalen running the ball, whether it was the backs running the ball, that's how they were going to score in the red zone. And they did it pretty much any time they wanted last year. Their red zone production last year was, I think, 68.8%, which might be the highest it's been since the league's kept track, since the Eagles have kept track of red zone production. So what teams did this year, I think, defenses and defensive coordinators, is says we're going to double down on the run in the red zone. When they get down there, when the field shrinks, we're going to stop the run. We're going to stop Jalen from running. We're going to make them throw the ball. Now, that doesn't mean, you can throw the ball against defenses. They're just basically saying, well, he's going to have to show us he can. And 6 games into the season, he hasn't yet. I mean, you look at Jalen's numbers; they're not very good in the red zone. The Eagles are starting to mix it up more than they did last year because they have to in the red zone, but nothing's working right now for them. We saw that one red zone touchdown last week, which was only their 3rd red zone touchdown pass of the season. The one to Swift, and even that pass was awkward. It was behind him. He was wide open.
Swift made a nice play.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's basically – I mean, Jalen's got to prove to teams that he can beat them in the red zone. And there's no reason he shouldn't be able to do that. When you look at the weapons, my God, Dallas Goedert, you mentioned the fade. You got A.J. Brown. Why can't you be successful in the red zone? There's no reason. But you got to prove it because teams are basically daring him to do it.
Right.
Damo, you surprised they brought in a Julio Jones? Do you think he has anything left at 34 years of age? When they made the move, I was like, okay,
yeah,
we'll wait and see.
Same, Derek. The Julio Jones I saw the last 3 years in the league, his final year with Atlanta, and then with Tampa Bay and Tennessee, was a guy who's running on empty.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what, I'm one of the few guys that believes the answer to their number 3 wide receiver situation is sitting on the practice squad in Greg Ward. But Nick Sirianni has no use for Greg Ward, so that's never going to happen. I don't know what Jones gives him. I mean, I saw the quotes from Nick at his press conference. Was it yesterday where he said he's still got some pop in his legs, and I don't see it. And he's certainly not going to help them in the red zone because, this used to be one of the best red zone receivers in football, not just one of the greatest receivers in football. I mean, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about that. But after 2019, the production kind of stopped, particularly in the red zone. I mean, he played 10 games with Tom Brady and didn't have a single red zone catch.
Jeez.
He played 10 games with Tennessee last year, 0 red zone catches. So I don't know what he offers. I guess we'll see. I mean, maybe he'll surprise me, but and I like Julio, and when he's eligible for the Hall of Fame, I'll vote for him. But I just don't think he has anything left.
You and I both have been around Howie long enough to know that Howie likes to make a splash move. Trade deadline's coming up. Do you think he's working on a trade right now? And if what's so, what position do you think he's trying to shore up?
Well, I mean, it has to be cornerback, Derek. Slot corner particularly. I mean, I've got to believe he's working the phones. Trying to get a guy like just to throw out a name, Jeremy Chin. I saw some guy with 300 followers the other day that claimed he was reporting that they're in trade talks for Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
Be terrific if they get him. I mean, but really, they need to get somebody that can replace Avonte Maddox because I don't see him on the roster right now.
Quez Watkins has been such a big disappointment. He came out in the spring and tweeted, "I'll show all of you bleeps, yada, yada, yada." It's the same old Quez. And I think his defining moment, which basically sealed his coffin here in Philly, was that hitch pass he took, and he could have turned it up and made a first down. Instead, he turned his shoulder sideways and lost yardage. And you saw Nick Sirianni's face on the sideline. I mean, he was blowing up. Do you think we'll ever see Quez Watkins take the field again for the Philadelphia Eagles, even though he's on IR? You know how teams have a way of extending injuries or just making players disappear.
I think this could be a disappearing act.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
That play is etched in my mind because I watched it, and you watch it on tape, and you see if he cuts it inside, he's got some room to run. And for whatever reason, I mean, this wasn't a Miles Sanders, I just like to run outside because I'm so fast. This was Quez Watkins saying, nah, I'm going to get hit there. So, yeah, I think we've seen the last of Quez, or at least the, very little of Quez that we'll see in the future.
Dom, let me ask you, and I apologize if Gunnar asked you this, but we talked about the level of competition that the Dolphins have faced thus far. And again, you could maybe apply this to the Eagles too, but I mean it in context of how the offense is just blowing up for them. But, they faced the Chargers, the Patriots, Denver, the Giants, and Carolina. Not exactly great shakes. They're the teams they've beaten. They lost to Buffalo. So is a little bit of this, you think, blown up because of the competition, or are they that good offensively in your estimation?
No, I mean, I think they can be, slowed down enough to beat them. I mean, I don't think this is when I look at the league right now, I see at least, I think Kansas City's better than them. I think San Francisco. I mean, there's some teams, including the Eagles when they're healthy, that I think are better than them. And I think there's a formula to beat them. I mean, I think Sunday the Eagles need to start doing the ground and pound and control the ball and just don't let Tua have it a lot. The interesting thing with Tua is he's getting rid of the ball. Even though they're killing people deep, he's getting rid of the ball faster than any quarterback in the league. So, I mean, that it kind of negates the Eagles' pass rush, which is their main defensive weapon. I expect this to be a tough night on Sunday because with all the injuries in the secondary, I just don't think this is the week that they can beat Miami. Down the road as a healthy team, I think they can, though. I think they have, they're strong enough offensively to either stay with them in a game where you're just going to exchange points as long as you can score touchdowns in the red zone. And I think their defense can do some things healthy against Tyreek. I got concerned last week about this week when I watched James Bradbury play Garrett Wilson. I mean, he was playing him like 8-9 yards off the ball every time. Now, Garrett Wilson is an excellent receiver in this, a really, really good one. But if you're playing Garrett Wilson that deep off the ball, where are you playing Tyreek? Like on I-95?
Jetro, Damo, yeah. Jetro, my friend. Yeah, it's a little worrisome. That's what I can't get past, Damo. Yeah. Like, I think the Eagles' offense bounces back, and I think they play well. I don't believe that you're going to see the amount of turnovers or any of that. But I can't get past getting stops, man, and big plays potentially happening here. I know, look, to me, it's the defensive line has got to go crazy in this game. You got to be able to affect Tua, despite how fast he gets it off and all that. But even then, I don't know that you're going to be able to do that enough for the Eagles to win this game. Yeah,
I think you can rattle Tua. I mean, he's gotten over the concussions, but it's in his mind. You get Jalen Carter coming at him repeatedly on Sunday night. It's going to make him think. It's going to make him hesitate. It's going to make him flinch. So yeah, and you look at last week. I mean, 4 turnovers, no takeaways. So I mean, one thing the defense has to do this week is they need to start getting takeaways. They haven't had any in 3 straight games. The first time that's happened since 2012.
Wow.
Damo, you were talking about Jalen Hurts a short while ago and his red zone play. What is your evaluation of Jalen through 6 games overall? Because I don't think he's close to being the quarterback that we watched consistently last season.
Yeah, I agree, Gunnar. And I think a lot of it has to do with what he's facing. Like I said, defenses and defensive coordinators spent the offseason, trying to figure out a way to defend him, confuse him, and they've come up with a lot of them. I mean, zone coverages with man behind it that he is slow in processing. His decision making's been a little off. I mean, you saw that, I thought, on their last offensive play Sunday when he goes deep to Devontae when all he needs is it was 4th and 8, I believe. All he needed was a first down. He's got Kenny Gainwell standing in the middle of the field wide open with no one within, the same zip code of him. And he just ignores him or didn't see him. And because he was so locked into Smith, who wasn't even open. So, it's the decision making and the processing that seems to be at this point not as sharp as it was last year.
Damo, on the positive side of this thing, you brought up one of the names, and it looks like he'll be able to play this week, Jalen Carter. You go back, you cover Jerome. I hate throwing names like that around in comparison when a guy's only played 6 games, but I got to go off of what I've seen. To me, even better than Corey Simon and some of the other really good defensive tackles they've had over the years, he looks like that guy. I mean, he just looks like he is. I mean, he's a top 5 guy in the league. Forget rookie at that position already.
No, I agree. As long as he doesn't get too happy with his performance and stays hungry and stays focused. I mean, I personally, I think Jordan Davis also has a lot of growth potential left in him. I mean, those two guys are athletic freaks. I mean, they're going to create havoc in the middle, not just against the run, but the pass. I mean, and you talk to any quarterback in this league, and they'll tell you that the place they hate to get pressure the most is right up the middle, because you got nowhere to run then. You got edge rushers that are, you got Khalil Mack or Josh Sweat on the edges. I mean, you step up and avoid that, at least to buy yourself an extra second or two. But when you got Jalen Carter coming right up the middle at you, and your guards and center can't stop him, I mean, that just completely disrupts everything. And he's shown the potential, not just the potential, he's done it. So he just needs to stay healthy, and I think he's going to be a monster the rest of this season.
Damo, beyond injuries, do you think Darius Slay has lost a step? I mean, he's what, 32, 33 now?
Yeah, I mean, I started to see that last year, Gunner. He's a smart player, so you make up for what you lose physically with wisdom and savvy and experience. And I think that's where he is right now. But I'm worried that he's going to be able to stay healthy because of his age. I mean, he's got the knee that caused him to miss last week. Does it linger? I mean, we got him saying he's fine, but is he? And as we go forward here, this is not a team that has any depth there. I mean, they tried. They've found depth just about every position, but that secondary is scary right now. They're one more injury away from disaster.
Damo, look at the other side of the ball. It's been heavy AJ and pretty quiet everybody else. Is that just ebb and flow of the season? You're not worried this thing will be a thing? They'll straighten that out. It'll be a little bit more, evenly spread out, or is it something to keep your eye on a little bit here?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough to keep two elite wide receivers happy. I mean, look at Miami. I mean, look at Jalen Waddle's numbers.
Yep.
They're I'm wondering, is he in the locker room? Is he bitching and moaning? I don't know. Maybe he's saying this is great. We're winning, and that's all that matters. Devontae Smith is a team player, so I don't think it's and his relationship with Jalen is good. So I would think he's on the same page. I mean, I think as we go forward here, Rob, we're going to see them continue to use the running backs as weapons in the passing game. It has to be better, though, than it is. I mean, right now they're throwing a lot to DeAndre Swift, but he's averaging like 5 yards a catch. I mean, that's useless. That's not what you want. I mean, you look at what he did in Detroit as a receiver. It was nearly 8 yards a catch. That's what you need from him. And I don't know why that's not happening when you've got those receivers on the outside, when you've got Goddard. I mean, that's kind of where Brian Johnson needs to figure out how to maximize all of these guys, because he's got more weapons than God right now. I mean, there's no reason this offense shouldn't be as potent as Miami's.
Damo, why can't this team run a screen worth a darn? They can't run the screenplay. It's the most unexplainable thing I've ever seen. When you look at so many teams that run a screen so effortlessly, so fluidly, this team can't get the screen game right.
Absolutely. I mean, and you saw it last year, Derek, for the first half of the season. It was one of their best weapons, particularly Goddard. I think in my column this week for JAKIB Sports, I had got the numbers, Goddard's numbers for the first 6 games. It's like he had 11 catches for 200 some yards, I think. or 100 some yards. This year, I mean, it's like 5 for 31. I mean, he's just not. Nobody's been effective in the screen, and I don't know why. I mean, you've got a line that has shown that it can excel in the screen game. You know, you've got you've got Jason Kelsey, who, you know, he nothing he does better than getting outside and leading those things. So I don't know. I you know, you hope it clicks if you're them, because I think it still needs to be a part of their game. It certainly, you know, makes defenses, you know, you make them aware of that. It slows their pass rush up. It makes them double think about how they cover people deep. But why it's not working, I'm befuddled right now. I hope they have the answer, because I don't.
Damo, 66-30 with Lane Johnson, without him 10-22. Have you ever seen a disparity like that? And he's not even the blindside guy for a righty. I mean, what a difference. And it looks like he's going to go. Gunner's reporting he's going to go. But, man, what a difference he makes with this team.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I kind of figured he would go. He's clearly not 100%. I hope, you know, for his sake, he doesn't aggravate it again, which is always possible with a high ankle. But yeah, I mean, he's another guy that's going into the Hall of Fame. You know, I don't think it matters anymore in this league, right side, left side, because you have so many edge rushers, elite edge rushers, that you're facing as good a guy on the right side as you are on the left. So, you know, I last week shocked me, because I thought, you know, Jack Driscoll isn't a Pro Bowler, but he's been a competent backup that I thought would do better than he did last year. I don't know if it was the lack of snaps he's been getting in practice or what, but they took advantage of him to no end. I mean, so getting Lane back is going to be big this week.
Damo, how do you see this game playing itself out?
I think those defensive injuries in the secondary, Gunner, are just going to be too big an obstacle. I don't think they're going to score 70, but 31. You know, I could see this being a 31-20 game. I just, you know, later on in the season, when they're a little bit healthier in the back, I think the Eagles could give them a better game. Sunday, I think you know, they lose by double digits.
Ooh,
Damo, last one for me. Do you see a trade coming here? You were now 11 days from the trade deadline, and there appears to be a crying need here on the back end, like we've been talking about throughout with your interview. Do you think there's a move coming from Howie?
I think at least one. Yeah, I think Howie knows the. I mean, you can't look beyond one season as far as how good you're going to be. I mean, he's had a plan. He thinks he can keep this team with the window of Super Bowl opportunity open for a few years, but you never know that. Jason Kelsey's probably retiring after this year. You don't know what happens after that. You're going to have AJ Brown and Smith. Can you keep them for how many more years? So yeah, I think they make at least one move to solidify that secondary, and maybe two.
All right, Damo,
Okay.
listen, keep
All
up
right.
the good work. Check out Damo, JAKIBsports.com, all over the place, really. I don't buy the retirement thing, Damo. I'm not buying it, man. I see you doing too much stuff. What's happening here? I thought we were going to be out fishing somewhere. What's going on?
My wife isn't buying it either, and she's not happy. So this might be the last season.
You know what I do? When in doubt, blame Gunner. Just somehow blame Derek Gunn.
Damo, think about this, Damo.
Yes.
You're not digging ditches. You're not washing windows, and there's nothing wrong with those jobs. You get to talk football and write about football, man. You can do this until you're in your 70s.
It beats work.
Exactly
there you go.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. All right, Damo, feel better, man. Appreciate
man. Take
you
care, bro.
for a couple minutes. Take care. All right.
Take care, guys. Take care.
All right. That is Paul Domowitch. And again, you can follow Damo on Twitter at PDamo, but great stuff at JAKIB Sports, as well as the 33rd team, FB, et cetera, all over the place. Paul Domowitch. Yeah. Derek, we'll give our we'll give our predictions, how the game's going to play out. Tone's going to jump on like we always do at the end of the show on Friday and all those kind of things. But I kind of been telling you during the week, I'm concerned about this one. I'm very concerned about the secondary here in this game.
As explosive as Miami is, they were held to 24 points and won a game. They were held to 20 points and lost a game.
Yep.
So there is a way to slow them down. Do the Eagles have enough personnel-wise? Darius Slay is playing with the knee issue.
Yep.
And, you know, there are a couple of other guys. You don't have Avonte Maddox helping in the slot. There's a couple of guys in the back end that are very iffy right now, and I'll give you a little bit more later on in about an hour and 23 minutes from now.
Okay. Yeah.
I got major concerns.
All right. We'll talk about it. We will further talk about it. That is for sure. We'll have our NFL segment, Derek. We'll jump into last night's game with the Jaguars and the Saints. We'll preview the best games on the card for Week 7, and we're going to do. I'm excited about this one. Our wide receiver power rankings.
Oh, geez.
Where does AJ Brown rank? We will get into that. Yes, we will do that as well. Get into a bunch of other stuff. We'll update you on a couple key injuries around the NFL. Also, and again, at 1:20, Gunner's going to have a key update, Eagles injury wise too. So we will do that also. He's Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. Appreciate you guys hanging with us. We are Sports Take. All right, let me tell you about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, because knowing who to trust with your finances, scary stuff, right? I can tell you from personal experience that I trust Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review. You might have a small business and you need help with your employee benefits. That's another resource that Jim can help you with. Personally, I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollover with Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be too. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751, or email him, Murray, MURRAY, .jim@principal.com. That's Murray.jim@principal.com.